Women's soccer gets raided by the Raiders.
And the football team takes on the 9th-ranked team in the country.
All this and more on the Penguin Rundown. Welcome back to the Penguin Rundown. I'm John Ostapowitz alongside Kyle Wills. And Kyle, despite all the losses, there were a lot of great teams for the Penguins who were really able to bring it home.
Yeah, look at the teams that played well this weekend, John. Start with the volleyball team. They had a great weekend this past weekend. Then you move over to the women's golf team. They had great success in their first 2 tournaments of the year. They were able to carry that into their 3rd tournament. Then you go over to the men's tennis team. They were part of the Belmont Hidden Duels Invitational this past weekend, and they were able to start their season off with a bang.
Right, and with those wins, there were some teams here at YSU who couldn't get those wins. So can you tell us a little bit more about them as well?
Yeah, if you start with the soccer team, John, the soccer team didn't have the great weekend, but if you move on into the football team was defeated 31-0 at Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky on Saturday afternoon. The Penguins entered its bye week with a 2-1 record as YSU forced 3 turnovers on defense but struggled with consistency on offense. The Penguins held their own defensively in the early going by keeping the Wildcats scoreless through the first 16 minutes. Sophomore Troy Jakubek and senior Quincy Letton each had an interception, and they also combined for another turnover as Letton forced a fumble that Jakubek recovered. Sophomore Dylan Woodkey finished with 7 tackles and a sack, and sophomore Jordan Trowers led all players with 11 tackles. Offensively for the Penguins, quarterback sophomore Demetric Crenshaw was 7 of 21 for 120 yards and threw an interception in the red zone on YSU's best scoring chance of the game. Senior Jaleel McLaughlin was the top receiver and rusher, catching 3 passes for 60 yards and running 10 times for 36 yards. YSU held the Wildcats to 103 yards on the ground on 36 carries for an average of 2.9 yards per rush. The Penguins' best scoring chance came from McLaughlin, who ran for 64 yards on a screen pass on the opening play of the possession. In 2 weeks, Youngstown State's 8-game MVFC slate will begin at North Dakota State.
The Youngstown State men's golf team was back in action these past 2 days as they took part in the Valpo Fall Invitational in Chesterton, Indiana at the Sand Creek Country Club hosted by Valparaiso University. Day 1 of the tournament began on Monday where the Penguins finished the day tied for 8th place with a total round score of 299. 5th-year senior Brian Corduple finished tied for 7th with a score of 71. Freshman Ryan Sam finished tied for 13th with a score of 75. Senior Cole Chrisman finished tied for 40th with a score of 76. Redshirt Dean Alwistalosh finished tied for 48th with a score of 77. Redshirt senior Cade Krebs finished tied for 61st with a score of 78. For final results of yesterday's second round at the Valpo Fall Invitational, you can check out ysusports.com. Up next for YSU, they will be close to home as they will take part in the Cleveland State's Tom Totanamoia Invitational in Westlake, Ohio on October 3rd and 4th. For live results and updates, you can visit ysusports.com.
The volleyball team competed close to home this past weekend in the final non-conference matches against the Akron Zips and the Kent State Golden Flashes. The Penguins took a clean sweep in 3 sets when they traveled to Akron, supplying a victory in the winning column. Sophomore standout Paula Gershing led the team with 21 kills, which ranks 4th in Division I for most kills in a 3-set match. With only 2 errors, Gershing earned a remarkable hitting average of .475 while adding a block and 2 aces. Behind Gershing was freshman Abby Householder, who supplied her 2nd double-double of the season with 10 kills and 11 digs. Senior Josie Borm led the squad with assists with 20 while contributing 5 kills and 2 blocks. Notably, the Penguins brought the heat to the service line, accumulating 8 aces compared to Akron's 2. The team returned home for the first time in nearly a month, welcoming a Kent State team that was off to a hot 8-2 start. For the 3rd time this season, the Penguins stretched this match to 5 sets that would see YSU fall in close defeat. Performances from both sides of the ball were stellar as 3 Penguins scored double-digit in kills and 5 reached double-digit in digs. Borm recorded her 2nd triple-double of the season with 10 kills, 28 assists, and 10 digs, while both Gershing and Householder provided double-doubles in kills and digs. Sophomore Isabella Schaeff-Bauer followed right behind Borum at the setter's position with 22 assists and 10 digs. Though the battle was evenly matched throughout, late errors by the Penguins in the 5th set handed Kent State the victory. Gershing commented on the team's chemistry so far this season.
It feels really, really good. Like, it's so amazing how much we changed from last year, and it's so much more, well, not more, but like it's so much fun to play with this team.
Head coach Alini Scott also reflected on the team's growth and preparation for Horizon League play.
Feels great. I think overall this non-conference season was really productive for us, and I'm happy with the growth we showed. I'm happy with the team that we've become since we started, and I think this loss and yesterday's win, all of it really prepared us for what's to come next week.
Last night, the team hosted the first Horizon League contest against the Cleveland State Vikings. For highlights, recaps, and more, go to ysusports.com. This weekend, the volleyball team will be traveling to Wisconsin to compete in 2 matches, first against Milwaukee on Friday and then Green Bay on Saturday. For more on the volleyball team, we're going to send it over to the roundtable with Caleb Ellison and Katie Rogers-Vidala.
Thank you very much. Welcome to, not really the round table, we have the trapezoid table today, but I'm Caleb Ellison, and joining me is Katie Rogers-Vidala. And Katie, we're going to be talking about our YSU volleyball team. So far, they're doing pretty good at this point in the season, 6-5 right now. And when looking at last season, when they only had 6 wins overall for the entire season, obviously great improvement there.
Yeah, I've been thankful enough to be at every game this year. Volleyball, it's a close sport. I love it. It's very close to my heart. But I also went to every game last year, and I saw a lot of improvements, one of them being that they really struggled offensively last year. It was hard for them to get the ball over the net. Thankfully, Coach Alini Scott has helped them really get their serves over and make sure that's a good point of emphasis to make sure that they win matches this year, because there were a lot of service errors last year, and you can't get the ball over the net, you can't get points. But thankfully this year I've seen very few service errors. And last year we just had a lot of injuries. We lost Lexi Beakey, we lost Cheyenne Halady. We lost a lot of people at different times, so it required everyone to move around. And on top of that, one of them was Josie Bourne. She was their setter, and then Lexi Beakey got hurt, so that required Josie to become the setter. And then that really helped Paula, who we'll be talking about in a little bit. She came last year, and she's been a huge contributor to this team. And I just feel like we've made a lot of improvements this year so far.
I mean, for sure, you talk about because of the injuries, everyone had to move around, and now that everyone's kind of in their natural position this season, you could definitely see it reflected in the stats. You talked about Paula Gershing. She is leading the team in kills by a long way with 177. She is second on the team with 17 service aces. She's already a 2-time Horizon League Player of the Week this season, matching her total from last season. And then coming in at third with 67 kills on the team is Abby Holzhauer, a freshman. So seeing her step up in that way, obviously great to see.
Yeah, I love seeing Abby. You know, what I love most about Abby is she makes mistakes. And I love seeing that because she overcomes her mistakes and she does better. She's, like you said, she's third hitting. I feel like she's definitely going to be up there with Paula. But I also love that, I love our dynamic. We have 2 very strong outside hitters in Paula and Abby, and Josie when we need her, when we don't need her as a setter. But I'm just so proud of how far they've come so far, and they finally have that right dynamic and the right chemistry. The girls just look so much happier than they did last year. I love to see it.
Absolutely, talking about just overall team chemistry, comparing last year to this year, just ignoring all stats, it's just a lot more of a fun team to watch. You can definitely tell they're having a good time on the court. So coming up on the court, all Horizon League opponents down the stretch here. And coming in, we also have a 4-game homestand closing out September going into October. And so what's the key as we start to get into conference play?
To me, I think the key is they just need to keep playing the way they've been playing. As I mentioned, the improvements earlier, last year they've improved on everything from last year, in my opinion. Like even though our record doesn't really show for it right now, against Kent State we lost in 5 sets, but that was the best match I've ever seen them play because they played as a team. We lost a super close match. It was like tooth and nail the whole time. It was the best I've ever seen them play as a team. They got the ball over the net. They scored high. Like it was a great match to watch. So we'll see what they do in Horizon League play.
Yeah, hopefully it's all going a good start. We started it last night with Cleveland State, and we're going to continue down the stretch. But thank you for joining us today. I've been Caleb Ellison.
And I'm Katie Rogers-Vidala.
We're going to pass it back over to Kyle and John. They're going to set the show, and then Andrew Peterson will spike it down for the Player of the Week.
Thanks, guys. The Youngstown State women's soccer team continued the fall season and started Horizon League play last Thursday at Oakland against the Golden Grizzlies. The Golden Grizzlies got on the board first, scoring a goal 29 minutes into the match and would stay in control for the remainder of the game. However, the Penguins would not go down quietly just shy of the 82nd mark. Freshman Taylor Berry scored a goal to tie the game thanks to a well-placed throw-in from senior Regan Lavinia. The match ended in a 1-1 tie, and the Penguins would come back home and continue Horizon League play on Sunday against the Wright State Raiders at Farmers National Bank Field. It was a battle of defense as the game between the Penguins and Raiders were scoreless for over an hour, but Wright State would get on the board at the 70-minute mark, then followed up with another goal 6 minutes later by former Penguin Marcella Sizer, resulting in a YSU defeat with a final score of 2-0. The Penguins will continue Horizon League play and hit the pitch tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Detroit Mercy.
The Youngstown State men's tennis team headed to Nashville, Tennessee to compete in the Belmont Hidden Duels hosted by Belmont University last weekend. On Saturday, Youngstown State fell to Belmont University in singles matches with 2 wins coming from sophomore Clement Mengai and senior Javi Pla. In doubles matches, the defending Horizon League champions could not get over the hump and lost all 4 of their matches to the Bruins. After falling to the Bruins, the Gwins turned things around against Tennessee Tech, winning 3 of 4 doubles matches to lead the charge. In singles matches, David Alvarez Moreno, Mengai, and Harry Fausas were able to score individual wins for the Penguins. On the final day of the competition, the Penguins faced off against Vandy Lipscomb, where 4 Penguins walked away with wins in singles matches. In doubles, YSU split with Vandy Lipscomb as Javier Fausas, Montechescu, and senior William Everett walked away with wins. The men's tennis will be taking a week off, then compete in the ITA All-American Championships in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with competition beginning on Saturday, October 1st.
This past weekend, the women's golf team was in University Park, PA for the Natty Lion Invitational. On the first day of the Invitational on Saturday, the Gwens got an opening score of 300. They even topped that score in the next round as they shot 294 in the final round on Sunday. They shot a 296. The team finished the Invitational with 890, which is the second lowest 54-hole performance in program history. Penguin senior Danae Regola was a bright spot throughout the whole Invitational as she tied for 4th place individually. Regola had a career Invitational as she shot a 217 with scores of 71, 71, and 75. She was tied for 3rd place following the first 2 rounds with Regola's 3-round score of 217, which is tied for the lowest 54-hole score in program history. 5th-year senior Putita Kanundri finished just outside the top 10 as she tied for 11th with a score of 220. Penn State ultimately came out victorious by 16 strokes at 3 under par with a 3-round team total of 861. Up next, the women's golf team will travel to Indianapolis, Indiana to compete in the Butler Fall Invitational at Highland Golf and Country Club. Be sure to head over to ysusports.com for more updates.
Let's now send it over to Andrew Peterson, where he has this week's Penguin Player of the Week.
Thanks, guys. This week's Player of the Week comes from the volleyball team courtesy of sophomore Paula Gershing. Against Akron on Thursday, the 15th, Gershing recorded 21 kills. She was a driving force to the Penguins' wins against the Zips. Then on the next day against Kent State, she recorded 24 kills and played a great game in spite of a losing effort by the Penguins. Congratulations to Paula on being this week's Player of the Week. John and Kyle, back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. That'll wrap it up for us here at Penguin Rundown. Make sure to follow us on social media at Penguin Rundown 1 on Instagram and Twitter. And make sure to check out ysusports.com for news, stats, highlights, and more. I'm Kyle Wills.
And I'm John Ostapowicz.
And we will see you next time, Penguin Nation.